So when I pulled the engine and transmission out, I found that the K-frame was rotted away to practically nothing. So the K-frame is these chassis rail extensions here that run down underneath the car and get attached in 2 points. But the cross member comes out, all the steering comes out, all this front clip comes off, bonnet off, guards off, all that, all the heater, nothing else comes with it, and send the K-frame off to get re-welded because it's in a very, very sad shape. Pretty much where I got to was all of this stuff off the car and everything disconnected from something that attaches to the K-frame. So the steering is disconnected from both the steering box, the steering column, and the this one is drag link or idler arm. And it just bolts through the chassis rail. There's a brace over here. I just have to undo this part, feed it back through there, and then the last things that I need to do, I'm going to leave the front suspension attached for the minute, which means I'm going to need to disconnect the brakes, which is awesome. So I don't want to do that, but anyway. There's a couple of bolts just along this seam here. So see the 2 bolts there, and then there'll be other through bolts underneath where those 2 K-frame arms go to. I'm pretty sure that's every single bolt taken out now. So all I have left to do is just pull this K-frame forward, and just the wheels and everything, it all should just roll forward. So fingers crossed, and let's see what happens. So the K-frame that I'm talking about, you can kind of see like a K shape here. Underneath these 2 sections here on both sides is rusty and full of silicon. And then I've also noticed, pulling it apart, that there's quite a bit of rust through here and in this hole, and also that hole up there where the K-frame mounts go through on both sides. So they're going to have to be addressed too at some point. Yeah, that's pretty much the whole front clip off and apart. Next is those 2 bolts to get the front cross member out, and that bolt there as well, and then the sway bar. Once all that's out, I can then take the K-frame down to the panel beaters, get them to weld up this stuff and paint it all, and then I'll figure out the rest of this later. Alright, so that pile of rust there just came out of that chassis rail there. So you can see all of this silicon and rubberized shit to try and repair damage here. This is all rusty as well. You see it pushing through there. Same with this side. That entire section has been replaced with silicon, and then there's rust all through here, all the way along. So this will have to get cut out completely, a new section welded in, and then it looks like it could do with a new piece of metal too. Alright, so it's been about a month since I pulled this car apart and found that the subframe was rusted on both sides and both legs of the K-frame, as well as the front section under here. So this has gone away, been repaired, been sandblasted, been coated with this stuff, and seems to be pretty good. It gives a nice texture on the finish. Anyway, looks fine. So we painted a couple other parts like the radiator support, surround, and the battery tray, all the same. And so as a result, the firewall needs to be the same color as well as this section. So I stripped the firewall down, so there was like a heater box, exchange, the wiper mechanism, clutch cables, gear selectors, the brake pedal, master cylinder assembly and everything, and then the throttle cable here that then went through these 2 brackets down to the carburetor. So all of that's off, as well as the 2 wiring harnesses that came through the firewall. So to get this car over to the panel beaters, I now have to put the front suspension back in. So I gave this a bit of a degrease and a clean as best I could. So that'll get wheeled back over here. Then it will get put back onto this front clip, and then those parts of the K-frame, those 4, will get rebolted to the body through those 4 there. And then the car will be rolling once again, and then we'll strip the interior, so carpet and seat out, get all that junk out of here, so to the panel beaters, so they can repair some of this ungodly, like look at that, it's just disgusting, such a pathetic repair. Under here as well, you can see there's gaping holes everywhere, so they need to repair all of that, and then some pretty big holes under here too. Alright, so I got the front clip back and just threw it back together today. So now it can get wheeled onto a trailer, wheeled over the panel beaters. They can disconnect this front clip and just roll it away. They'll open all the floor up, repair all of that, repaint the firewall and repaint this cross member so that it all matches this black engine bay. Then we can finally start the original task of this build, which is to put a 400 cubic inch motor in and the turbo 350 trans. So hopefully this is the worst of our worries, but knowing old cars and my luck, we're going to have to do a bunch of other crazy junk. So as you can see, the tubs and all the K-frame and everything's been repainted, the cross member's been repainted, firewall's been done, we got the roof resprayed because it was really poorly done, so that got redone, it's all nice now. We also got some floors repaired, some sections of floors, so you can see the welds and stuff in there. So that's all nice, and all underneath is coated, and then in the bed here, you see we've put on Raptor liner. So that's been done throughout the whole bed of it. So it looks really good. We've got some wood to go back down over here. The rest of the floor pan's pretty solid. We also got this section repainted and these threaded into their mounts. So pretty much now I'm just slowly piecing it all back together, seeing if I can remember how it all went. So far I'm missing a nut, a washer, and I've got 3 extra bolts and I don't know where they go. So off to a good start. So pretty much I'm just mating the K-frame and everything back up with the body. So well, that's always good. This is jammed together. Anyway, that bolt there went missing between the panel shop and here. And now I'm just going through and lining up these holes. There's 4 holes and then one in the middle. That'll all get bolted together and then I'll be able to tighten up these bottom ones. Got to reroute some of these brake lines and get this brake line back in. And then we'll put the big 400 cubic inch motor in there and a nice big old automatic. And then there's the fun of making all of that look stock and like it came. So just looking at it now, I've just painted this steering box brace. The steering column's back fitted again so that it lines up, and yeah, panel beater's lost the bolt, so I've got to find another one. All the bolts are in, holding the front clip on. So this thing's pretty much ready to get reassembled now. So the 2 halves of the car have been rejoined. The car's back on the ground, so I'm gonna probably put the brake booster rather, and the master in there. I might take this bracket off. Yeah, take the engine mounts off and try and get the 400 in there and see how I go with that rear cross member and this front mount. So yeah, it looks like this will fit nicely. The next thing we're going to have to do is get the transmission in here.